What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name's Michael Roman, aka Allfires. Now, for months leading up to the Fantastic Four, we heard from industry insiders that Chris Evans likely had a small cameo. We speculated here at the channel that he was most likely back as Johnny Storm, because it's a Fantastic Four movie, and after we just saw him as a Johnny Storm variant in Deadpool and Wolverine. However, right before the film dropped, industry insider and Twitter scoopster My Time to Shine Hello indicated that this rumored cameo was cut early on, but would have been a scene featuring a Nomad variant of Steve Rogers from across the multiverse, of course setting him up for Avengers Doomsday. And although that scene never came to pass, if this is true, the big bombshell here is that Chris Evans, Steve Rogers, will be in Doomsday. That's where we pick up today with the same industry insider, but a totally different scoop, which, if true, completely recontextualizes leaks that we've been getting for months now. And from the trusted source Unbox PhD that's brought us all the behind the scenes footage, man, this one is a doozy, and if true, completely confirms Chris Evans' Nomad Steve Rogers for Avengers Doomsday. We're breaking it all down, this latest update and what it means for leaks we've had for months. But first, if you could grab the subscribe button. We do daily Marvel content at the channel. That's all we do. Thanks to everyone who's been subbing lately, and if you haven't already, just kindly invite you to do so. It's the #1 thing you can do to support us at the channel, plus it'll enter you for the giveaways. If you want, stick around at the end of the video. We get into all the giveaway stuff again there. Okay, so quickly, a spoiler warning. This has everything to do with actual leaks, like the stuff we've been getting from the behind the scenes footage, etc. If you don't want to know that stuff for Avengers Doomsday, no worries, but now would be the time to back out. Okay, so let's set the stage here. Unbox PhD starts posting a ton of behind the scenes set footage from aerial drone shots, and as we've explained at the channel, those are totally fair game, because if you can capture the footage outside, you're allowed to cover it. That's why we've posted that stuff. Now, we've covered the other leaks, but we haven't put them in our videos, and we won't today. One expressly was what seemed to be a behind the scenes blueprint for an actual set building that was referred to as the Luke Cage house. Now, there were some things about this that were peculiar. First of all, obviously, even if we see Luke Cage back in the upcoming Daredevil Season 2 or Season 3, there's no reason why he should have his own house featured in the beginning of Avengers Doomsday. He's not a big enough character in general, let alone has had no place in the MCU up until now, regardless if he may be coming back next year. Still, Luke Cage house didn't seem to make any sense. The second thing was the house itself seemed to be set in a retro and rural area, almost akin to what could have been described as a log cabin. Seriously, this was not a city house. This was a house basically in the middle of nowhere, again labeled as the Luke Cage house. But as it turns out now, in the rearview mirror, Luke Cage has apparently been revealed from industry insiders like My Time to Shine Hello and a guy who put this in my inbox actually 2 months ago, and I really got to follow up with you, expect a DM from me. Apparently, Luke Cage was the code name for Chris Evans on the set of Avengers Doomsday, which means the Luke Cage house was really the Steve Rogers house. And as rumored now by what we heard was a cut scene from Fantastic Four, it looks like it is going to be a Nomad variant from somewhere across the multiverse. We've speculated it was going to be the same Cap who returned the Infinity Stones and then reunited with Peggy, and there could be a theory there. That's why Steve Rogers didn't want to divulge anything for what was coming to Sam in that moment when he gave him the shield, knowing he was going to need it and knowing that there was way too much to explain how complicated things would get before they would meet on that park bench, rather just let it play out. And while I've heard that theory in a couple of places with different details each time, it's interesting, but I don't think it's true. More likely the case, it's very easy to convince Chris Evans to come back if the Steve Rogers or Nomad he'll be portraying isn't going to touch the original story that he holds so sacred. But in that same regard, I'm pretty sure as soon as Robert Downey Jr. was ready to come back and admitted that he probably picked up the phone and called Chris Evans. Whatever trepidations or cautions Chris Evans would have had about not returning, surely it becomes a lot easier when Robert Downey Jr. is back as Dr. Doom. Now, there are some other things I think are important to point out here. If you missed the breaking news over the weekend about the rumored announcement for the second round of cast announcements via the chairs on August 27th for Avengers Doomsday, there are some people in the industry that are coming out now and saying that that's completely bogus. The good news is we won't have to wait that long to see, but if you missed our video yesterday, there are a lot of rumors going around right now, whether or not it comes on the 27th or later, about who will be included in that second round of announcements. And trusted source Jeff Snyder indicated, and all the way back on May 3rd, that Chris Evans would be in the second round of announcements. So where there's smoke, there's fire, so to speak. And now that we're hearing about his codename being Luke Cage, and knowing that we actually saw leaked blueprints for that part of the set, well, let's put it this way, and at this point, I think a lot of us would be a lot more shocked if Chris Evans isn't in this film, than if he actually is. Now, I do want to at least acknowledge this because every time we cover Chris Evans back as a Steve Rogers, or rather Captain America variant, there are inevitably people in the comments talking about how this undercuts Sam Wilson's Captain America. Remember, Sam Wilson and Steve Rogers are best friends in the comics, and there were some comments by Kevin Feige recently that seemed to admit that Captain America 4's one of his main problems at the box office was that it didn't have Chris Evans. Now, people took that and twisted it to mean sort of a knock or throwing shade at Anthony Mackie. That's not what he was saying at all. He was saying it didn't have the main actor who built the franchise in the first place, and so a lot of people tuned out and didn't even give it a chance. That's what he was trying to say, but in the same breath adds how much weight Steve Rogers, the character, Captain America, holds on his own, and how much more it's going to mean to the fans if he returns. Look, I don't think it's going to take anything away from Sam Wilson's Cap. If anything, in narrative, Sam's going to be happy that he's back, and there have been comments made by Anthony Mackie that he suspects a Captain America 5 and 6 his own trilogy. But if you remember from the comics, Sam Wilson never held the shield that long in the first place, and even Kevin Feige has admitted at some point there is a Steve Rogers alongside a Tony Stark recast in the cards. And basically, the way that they've described it lately with the soft reboot and the recasting and the singular timelines, everything is up in the air. Everything is on the table at this point, and so why not let both the actors from the old Fox universe have a last hurrah? But man, Chris Evans, Steve Rogers definitely deserves one too, especially if this truly will be the end of his story, like a lot of these old Fox X-Men characters or others that have been in it for multiple decades, and then to their run in the MCU as well. So I see no harm, no foul. It's definitely no subtraction from Anthony Mackie's Captain America. 1 cap, 2 caps, shooting the Loki TV show. We had like 15 or 20 Lokis. You guys let me know though, all your thoughts down below, how hyped you are to see him back in the MCU, what you think his inroad to the story will be, whether or not it'll be the same variant that returned the Infinity Stones or a separate variant from across the MCU. And if you want a little more insight into the Nomad character himself, we've covered that a billion times at the channel. Just click back to the last couple of months. We break it down in almost every one. But you guys let me know how hyped you are. Quickly, let's get into the giveaway stuff. Before I let you go, still giving away PS5s at the channel. Super simple to be entered to win. Just leave a comment, be a sub, because it's truly random. The more videos you comment on, the better chance you have of winning. The best way to keep up with the content has always been to hit the notification bell with all notifications turned on. And as always, if you liked today's video, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like button. My name's Michael Roman. Find me in a couple of places, Instagram and Twitter at IamFires. Find me on all other platforms with original music under the name AllFires, including the song you're hearing in the background now. And while I would sincerely appreciate you checking my music out, thanks for checking this channel out. Stick around. We'll be posting again real soon.